Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Marker, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Cheetah Conservation Fund. And what we've done is we're very fortunate to get an IUCN SOS grant. And we worked together in Somaliland for a number of years to try to stop the illegal wildlife pet trade. And with the grant that we've gotten from the IUCN, it's allowed us to not only do surveys in Somaliland to understand from the community's perspective what they think about protected areas, what they think about wildlife, living with wildlife, what they would think about a conservancy or a community-based natural resource management program. And then with that, we've been working with the government to share with them a little bit more about things that could really benefit wildlife in their country, that benefiting the wildlife and the people in a way that would also stop the illegal wildlife pet trade with the cheetahs that are there, to try to help them live naturally and in the wild. There is a lot of human-wildlife conflict with the communities, with their livestock, with predators, but they don't know anything about the cheetah. It's become a commodity. So with this, the education has become very, very important. With the grant, what we have done then is to bring people here to Namibia and working together with NACSO, which is the Namibian community-based support organizations. So all of the organizations here in Namibia that work with communities work together under NACSO. And we work with Maxie Lewis, who then traveled us around into the western area of the country. And from that, we were able to meet with the communities, we were able to see the lodges and the community lodges and campgrounds that have been developed. Now, Somaliland does not even have any national parks. So we also then went through Etosha, and we looked at the people that were living around the park, which were the community-based natural resource programs, as well as going through the park and seeing how the park has been developed. Because by having the national park, it has enabled the communities around to be involved in conservation and to be able to actually make income from the wildlife that they're living around. And so instead of being in fighting it, they're in harmony with nature and working together with the government. And Namibia, the government here, has been very, very good since independence in actually helping empower people to actually live in harmony with wildlife. And that's why we have limited poaching. We do have human-wildlife conflict, but it is actually eased because of the amount of money that people can make if they are living with the wildlife around aspects of tourism and both consumptive and non-consumptive utilization. So what we are hoping to do is to take this model back to Somaliland and work together with it. We will also be visiting Kenya, which has a different model in community-based natural resource management and how the people there are living with wildlife. Here in Namibia, we see our wildlife numbers increasing and have increased since independence. And that has a lot to do with the people being involved in the initiative around conservation. In Kenya, it's more kind of the parks, and the wildlife numbers are actually declining. Of course, we've got human population growth that affects it. But as we look at climate change throughout our very arid countries, we really do have to be aware that livestock numbers can't keep increasing. The overgrazing causes a problem, and then there is no wildlife. If there's no wildlife, then there is no prey for predators like the cheetah and other predators. And top predators like the cheetah play a very important role in the health of an ecosystem. And we see where you have a top predator, you have more biodiversity. And that biodiversity is extremely important to the health of the ecosystems which support all of us. And so this is all a new concept. By bringing this all together and with the help of the IUCN and through the SOS grant, the Cheetah Conservation Fund and NACSO and Namibia and Somaliland and Kenya will be working together to try to look at helping Somaliland develop their models around the environment, around wildlife, around climate change, and we hope around community-based natural resource management areas to develop not only one national park that the Cheetah Conservation Fund is working with the government right now on, but to look at other areas that could be protected and other areas that might become conservancies, where the communities are helping protect the land and the wildlife for the government and for the people in the whole world. And the Cheetah is a part of that, and we hope that we'll be able to develop these programs. Nothing's built in a day, but we don't have to start from ground zero, and we hope that we can learn from lessons learned from some of the better conservation countries in Africa, and put this into effect into Somaliland so that they'll be able to also benefit from their environment, protecting their environment, and protecting their wildlife. And we hope saving the cheetah for the future.
I would like to thank CCF, Cheetah Conservation Fund, for having us or inviting us to come to Namibia for exposure visit, as well as the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and Tourism of Namibia. Namibia is not what I was expecting. Namibia is literally far, far ahead of many African countries, I could say, in terms of what we have seen so far. One of the great things that I will take back is the connection between the ecosystem and the tourism, the balance between the two.
Well, I believe that what we are starting now, in the near future, we will reap the fruits. And this will actually improve our economy.
My impression, the trip was very exciting and very educational trip to me as an MP. I came here actually to find out about the environmental work and the ecosystem and the model that the Cheetah Conservation Fund uses here to help the cheetah develop and also to make it more secure and safer, and also how the environment work together. Because in Somaliland we have a sort of very nomadic system. The policy and the laws are not very developed, and also our community is not developed in terms of education and wildlife. So it was very important for me to understand how the wildlife here is protected environmentally and how the wildlife is actually live together in a system with people and the communities, and how communities actually protect the wildlife and economically generate some income for them, which is a really, really good system.
What I learned in terms of conservation, the most impressive thing is that how they managed to make wildlife and communities live together and become friendly, benefit from each other, both economically and socially, and yeah, grow together. That was very impressive. I have never seen that before. We used to have in Somaliland, in the old days, in the natural world, where wildlife and animals and people used to live together. I remember as a young boy in the countryside, in the nomad, when we take our livestock for watering, to a watering borehole or stream of water to drink, and we used to sometimes see livestock drinking, and we used to stop and say, let the livestock, wildlife finish first. For example, deer, sometimes it was lions, let them finish, and then when they finish, only we used to go there, but not anymore. So that's what Namibia has really achieved in real life, and that's very impressive.
It's opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I've just realized that you can look at things in so many different lights and so many different ways to get to one position, and not just have that narrow tunnel vision that most people have. Awareness raising is something that's definitely on the books for Somaliland, a different way of culture to be introduced, and a way that the government can work much better with the people. And a lot of policies and laws are going to have to be adapted so that the land is not so clear-cut as we have it now. So it all belongs to the government, and the government is the only people who can work on it and be able to give it to people. But the government has to realize that the land must be occupied and work together as government and people together.
It is
Great.
spectacularly magnificent.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why last night I saw so many foreigners lying there. Maybe they flew from thousands of kilometers away just to be here and to see this.
Yes.
That's great. We will build some lodges like this in some beautiful areas in Somaliland.
Hi.
Oh, this was wonderful trip so far. It's very fascinating, and it's first time many of us coming to this wildlife park. And what we found out is that there's a lot of positive things that Somaliland can learn and also can replicate. And for the benefit of the Gay Deble Park, which will be officially opening next year, I think we, on behalf of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, it was a great opportunity to come and talk to the people who look after here, and also to talk to in the coming few hours also the local community and learn the best practices that Somaliland can also replicate. So it has been so far very fascinating and interesting, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Laura and her team for this wonderful trip. Thank you very much.